Hi friends, welcome to today's video. If you're new here, my name is Kunal and I talk a lot about mastering investing and mastering yourself on this channel. I study the habits and behaviors of world-class investors and I love to share what I'm learning and discovering. So today's video is all about competitive advantage. When I am trying to analyze a particular business, when I'm looking to invest my money in buying a particular stock, I really try to figure out if a business has a strong competitive advantage, right? You want a business that ideally has no competition or has very little competition. But where do these sources of competitive advantages come from? What are some factors you need to look at to understand if a business has a strong moat around it? Now, moat is a term that I believe originated from Warren Buffett. And a moat is basically a large ditch around a castle. And in the olden days, these moats were built so that the enemy could not get to the castle, right? The ditch protected the castle from its enemies. So similarly, we want to look for businesses that have strong moats. So what are those moats? Moats can be many different things depending on the industry, depending on the company you're looking to buy. I'll focus on five today, five different kinds of moats that you can analyze if the business you're considering to invest in has these five sources of competitive advantages. So let's get started with source number one. Source number one is brand, right? Brand equates to customer loyalty. When a business has a strong brand, customers keep flocking to the brand year after year, right? Think about Apple, right? Nobody is knocking on doors trying to sell Apple products. Year after year, you're going to see huge lines of people waiting at doors for the latest iPhone to get their hands on the latest iPhone. So what's that about? That's about the strong brand that Apple has built. Or think about Pepsi and Coke, right? So I may have figured out the secret recipe of Coke, and I might start a business that makes a drink that's very similar to Coca-Cola. And I might price it considerably cheaper. I might half the price of a bottle of Coke. Yet nobody's going to even think about trying to drink my product versus Coke if they all already consume Coca-Cola, right? So brand is something that's built over time. It's not really about logos and colors. Those are features of brands, but businesses that have strong brands have delivered year after year. A strong brand comes with substance, right? You can't have a strong brand without the business delivering to their customers year after year on their commitment to their products and services. So that's source number one, brand. Number two is efficient processes. So what's efficient processes about? Think of efficient processes as a business having strong interconnections between their systems, between their teams, with their external stakeholders, including their customers, their suppliers. Now, this is a little bit of an abstract concept, right? Some analysts talk about efficient processes as the strength of a business's architecture. I like to call it efficient processes. It's a little less abstract. So you're not going to find this information on an annual report that you read, right? So how do you determine if a business has efficient processes? If you're a customer of a business you're considering investing in, then it becomes a little easier, and I'll give an example in a minute. But there are some key signposts that you can use to determine if a business has efficient processes, right? So number one is figuring out if they are run like a well-oiled machine, right? Is there consistency in the customer's experience? How do the teams within this business work together? Is there strong collaboration? Or is the company known for a toxic culture? Maybe a company is known for its silos. So when you hear those kind of things, automatically you should ask yourself, does that lend itself to a business having efficient processes? All right. So the example that I'm going to use, some of you who are based in India might appreciate this example, right? So you walk into a Punjab National Bank and try to get a loan or try to open a new account, and this has happened to me, so I'm speaking from experience. Compare that experience to going into a HDFC bank, right? At HDFC, you're going to find that your experience is much smoother. No matter who you ask a question to about a certain process, or a how-to question on how to open a loan application, or how to open a certain type of account, you're going to get consistent answers regardless of which branch you go to, right? They have efficient processes. And it's no wonder that they are one of the leading private banks in India. And if you look at their numbers, what they've achieved in the banking industry in India is phenomenal. Now compare that again to going back to Punjab National Bank, right? You might be tossed around, right? They might ask you to wait longer. They'll say, you might approach one of the tellers there, and they'll say, okay, go talk to this person, and then you go talk to that person, and then they'll say, actually, you need to first fill out this form. Your experience is drastically different because Punjab National Bank has weaker processes, whereas HDFC Bank has really robust, efficient processes. Their architecture within the firm is really dialed in. Another way to think about efficient processes is your own personal experiences at restaurants, right? I'm sure some of you have been to a restaurant and had a poor experience. That may be, they served the wrong food that you did not order, or the bill that comes to you has some errors in it, or the waiter forgets what you ordered, right? These are signs of poor processes, right? These are signs of a restaurant not having its processes dialed in. Now, if you go to an upscale restaurant, or not even an upscale restaurant, but a restaurant that's known for good customer service, you're never going to experience that. And a lot of that comes down to efficient processes. No matter what industry a business operates in, good, strong, efficient processes lead to competitive advantages, because if you can get your processes right, your interrelationships between systems, between teams, between suppliers, right, you inevitably are going to end up doing things better than your competition. So next, let's move to innovation, right? That's a source of competitive advantage too. Now, this is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but it doesn't undermine its importance, right? It's become a buzzword, but it really is about being able to evolve, right? What is innovation about? It's about being able to think differently, being able to adapt to the changing needs of the environment, changing demands of the customer faster than your competition. Speed matters here. Speed absolutely matters. Now, I'm not a big soccer fan, and I'm terrible at soccer or football, depending on where you're from. You might call it differently, but I do play a little bit of FIFA, and when I do win these FIFA games, it's the games where I focus on figuring out where the ball will go next, as opposed to just focusing on where the ball is at currently, right? So my ability to predict where the opponent, in this case a computer, is going to pass the ball and position myself accordingly makes me get a better outcome than if I just focus on the present. So innovative companies are companies that are able to think way ahead of others, right? They're already planning for the next 3, 5, 10 years, right? And their capabilities in that direction are much stronger than their competitors. So that's innovation. Let's move to the fourth source of competitive advantage, right? And this is around cash flows. No matter how strong a brand, no matter how innovative a company is, no matter how strong their processes are, it's no good if it's not able to generate free cash flows, right? At the end of the day, a business exists to be able to serve its customers, and in doing so, make more money than what it costs them to deliver on their products or services. Now, when I analyze financial statements, I often start at the cash flow statement, right? It's a hugely important metric in my analysis. When I look for businesses, I'm always trying to find those that have tremendous amounts of free cash flows. Now, because we are investing, it doesn't mean that if they don't have free cash flows today, it doesn't mean that they won't be able to generate it in the future. That's where your valuations come in, right? But really, you wanna be certain that this business that you're considering to invest in is already producing enormous amounts of free cash flows, or will be able to do so in the future. So let's take a look at Amazon, right, as an example. So Amazon is a business with strong moats around it, right? Can you imagine another company trying to take on Amazon? In today's world, it would be next to impossible, right? I was looking at some numbers. There are about 340 million people that live in the United States. And of those 340 million, about 150 million people, part of the US population, has a Prime membership. Now think about that in terms of Amazon's ability to generate enormous amounts of revenue without them selling product, right? This is just their membership fees. Now, lots goes into that revenue translating into free cash flows, and I won't get into that in this video, but just that ability of Amazon to have loyal members that year after year pay them membership fees month after month, year after year, depending on their plan, shows that Amazon has a strong moat around its ability to generate revenues, right? Moving on from cash flows, let's look at the fifth source of competitive advantage. And the fifth one is strategic assets. Right? Strategic assets come in many shapes and forms. And to illustrate this point, I'm gonna read a quote by Sir John Kay. Right? He is a leading economist from Britain, and he says, "There can be no greater competitive advantage than the absence of competitors. Profits come not only from distinctive capabilities, but from possession of strategic assets. Competitive advantages which arise from the structure of the market rather than from the specific attributes of firms within that market." So all Sir John Kay is saying here is that strategic assets come not necessarily from the qualities of the firm itself, which is what we've discussed so far, but something external to the firm within the structure of the market, meaning something that gives the firm a competitive advantage that's outside of themselves, right? So what are some examples of strategic assets? So things like patents, right? Licenses, access to certain resources. I'm thinking of a mining company, right? That has access to a certain natural resource, a certain part of the world that only they have exclusive rights to for a certain period of time, right? No other business, mining business, can go in and access that particular resource. So that becomes a strategic asset. An example that's more familiar is Jockey India, right? The famous innerwear brand in India. Now everybody knows Jockey by Jockey because their brand is strong and enduring. It's from the US. However, the company that owns the Jockey franchise in India is Page Industries. All right, when next time you buy something from a Jockey showroom, just look at the label and you'll see that it's from Page Industries. It's manufactured by Page Industries, and Page Industries has exclusive rights to the Jockey franchisee in India until 2030, right? And they've had these rights for the last couple of decades, and they're going to have these rights to sell Jockey products or to sell innerwear products using that brand until 2030. So you might be a great manufacturer of innerwear, you simply can't sell your products under the name of Jockey, right? Why is that? It's because Page Industries has the strategic asset and nobody can get their hands on it. So that's a huge source of competitive advantage. So we've talked about 5 different sources that I use, right? So to summarize, one is that a business has an enduring brand, right? 2 is about efficient processes, which is fundamentally about corporations, right? Do their teams cooperate with each other? Do suppliers like to work with them? Are there efficient processes between their technological systems within the organization? We talked about cash flows. I use the example of Amazon in the US, right? Its ability to have a tremendous moat because of its membership model, Prime membership model. We also talked about innovation, right? So a company's ability to be truly innovative, not just use it as a buzzword, but its ability to evolve, its ability to stay ahead of the competition, its ability to predict the runway ahead and execute to get there at speed. And then finally, strategic asset. If you found this video valuable, please do hit the like button. Also subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon.